here we go. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Brad, and this is
Christa.
And we are from the Big Family Homestead, and we are so glad to be with Arms Family Homestead, Daniel and DJ. Woo!
Yay!
And the crowd goes wild. There's explosions, and then the confetti comes down. So how you guys doing tonight?
Good. We're great. We're great. Really excited. Can't wait to do this.
Well, neither can I. So first things first, and this is the most important thing. I think you'll have question-wise all night. How often do you get asked if you really are Seth MacFarlane?
Well, actually not that often, but I've had 2 or 3 people say that. And
wow.
I didn't get, the first time it happened, maybe, I don't know, a year or 2 ago, and I was like, yeah, I don't get it. But I'll just Google him every once in a while and look at images. I'm like, yeah, I think so every once in a while.
Dude, you totally need to be able to get like some of those voices down just to mess with people. You're like
Family Guy voices.
Mother-in-law, really. So now you guys are the Arms Family Homestead, and I've got a ton of questions. We've got a ton of questions, and we want to ask you a bunch of stuff. But as we get started, let's say that I'm a new viewer and watching your channel. Tell me who it is that you guys are, what you do, and why. Just give us the basic overarching 411.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so the meat and potatoes of it, I grew up in the country, had a, kind of a redneck raising, kind of, I wouldn't say just dirt poor, but we didn't really have a whole lot. I grew up basically as an only child, a couple older siblings, but they were out of the home by the time I was born. And I just grew up in the woods, kind of hunting and fishing. And my dad was basically semi-retired most of my childhood. So he was a bass fisherman. And we were always on the lake and hunting and things, And he didn't grow a garden, but we did provide a lot of our own food as far as the venison and the fish and things like that. And we're just in a rural area, so gardening kind of is a big thing for a lot of people around here. And I don't know, when we got married, we lived in town for a couple of years, and some people next to us had a garden, and I was like, that's just too much work. I don't know. And then we moved back out here to our original home place where I grew up. I don't know, it was just, I kind of started off with a small garden. YouTube, I think, is what got me hooked on it. The web cage and Bayou Gardener, Donald, and then MHP Gardener. I don't know if you follow his page or not. Man, that guy is amazing. So I was just kind of watching their videos, and I was like, I got to try this. And it just kind of grew from there. And I don't know, I kind of got on a kick at one point on juicing, on a kind of a health food kick. And I watched that, there's a documentary, what's it called? Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just was kind of, boom, eye-opening, like, hey, what we buy at the grocery store isn't healthy. So that's what it is for me, is about providing the best possible food for my family that I can. And I try, I don't know, she calls me a little old man. I'm the youngest old man she's ever met, because that's just what I enjoy, is trying to get the people around me to understand, hey, butter that you buy that's called butter is different than the stuff you buy that's called butter spread, there's, and
like Velveeta. Velveeta is not really cheese; it's cheese product.
Right.
Yeah, but Velveeta's really good, though.
I know.
Oh yeah, it tastes really good.
Velveeta's made me the man I am today, unfortunately. So DJ, now this whole homesteading thing, I'm kind of getting from chatting with you guys before the interview that you weren't exactly the most anxious to jump in with both feet. What is your part in this story?
Well, before we got married, I was in college, and I've got a coaching degree, but when we decided to have kids, we said, I wanted to stay home with them and raise them, and that's what I've done for the past 10 years roughly. And he gets on these, with the juicing thing, and it took me a while to come into it, and after that I love it, and it just, like he said, has grown from there. And I have to say most of mine is focused on the kids and the inside the house stuff.
Finances.
And the money, and, I do all that, and I'm really frugal, where I'm not a big gardener. Not yet. I'm not to that place yet. I mean, I'll cook anything he brings in here, but I'm not, I feel like if I go there and work in the garden, then I'm, aged to 65 or 70, so I know that's goofy, but I'm just not there yet. But I love being out there with the baby goats and, taking the kids and trying to get them more involved. And So that's what I do.
That's awesome. Do you homeschool your
Hi.
children?
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I got baby goats.
You got
have
baby goats.
How many baby goats do you have?
6.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
That's awesome. I love baby goats. They're my favorite. We have one goat that's getting
Now, actually,
house.
he's a little shortchanging you there. We've got 14 right now. Actually, we had 5 in the last 2 days. We had triplets yesterday and twins today.
Awesome.
You know, that was one of the things I was going to ask you, because I saw in your tour video that you were saying you have all these goats, but you don't milk them. Do you guys just sell them, or do you use them for
Yeah.
or what do you do?
Well, I mean, mostly we just raise them and sell them. We've eaten a couple goats. I would personally butcher as many as I could and eat them. I like it.
That's you, man. That's your boss. You better answer it. You're going to get in trouble, man.
I like the meat. You know, I would eat as many of them as I could because it's meat that I can provide for our family. But we also butcher a cow, you know, every year or two, and a pig or two. So the goats basically are just there because I don't have the kind of property that I could raise cattle on.
Uh-huh.
It's mostly timber, so they're mostly just kind of brush control, and I raise a few and sell. And it helps us with our taxes because I can have a farm tax ID number.
Awesome.
It really tremendously helps us with our taxes. That's the big thing for
Now,
us.
do you know, I know it probably varies from state to state, but is there a minimum number of animals you have to have in order to get that farm credit?
I'm not exactly sure what the law is in Oklahoma, but I'm not sure that there's a minimum number because at one time we had a horse and like 3 calves, and we were good with that. But
So our
goats-
teenagers would probably qualify.
Yeah.
yes,
They are
yes,
animals.
I think ours would too.
Yes.
But now the goats are more of a. They started off. The first 2 we ever had were bottle babies. She came home with 2 bottle babies that were so small they could fit in a diaper box.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids just loved them, and it kind of grew from there. And they just
So you think you have in the teens now? How many?
before we started having babies this year, I had 24 goats total, and right now we're at 14 babies. So we're up quite a few right now.
Okay,
That's a
now
lot.
we've not had the whole buck, male buck ready to rock and roll stud buck thing at our place, but we had a friend who had one. And dear God in heaven, they stink. They stink so
Yes.
bad.
Yes, they do.
So what do? Do you just keep them away, or you just deal with the stink?
I don't know. They're down at the barn. And he's usually, most of the time I try to lock him up, you know, separately from all the girls until I want them bred, you know.
Right.
But usually, you know, during the summer, they're all turned out on pasture, so they're not right here close, and I'm not right up there dealing with them. You know, like right now, I try to keep separate. All the, you know, the bucks are separate from my does. So when I go in and I'm messing with them, he's not even there. But he was raised on a bottle, the one we have right now, and so he's kind of like a big pet. So the smell's bad, but he's not aggressive or mean. So he just wants to come up and rub on you.
Get that
Oh,
stank
that's-
all over you.
that's awesome.
He does stink.
All over you.
I
But
would,
it's not a year-round thing. They don't, to me anyways, when they come in rut, when they come in season to start breeding the does is when they really start to smell bad. Right now, he's not that bad.
okay, so when is that rut season? Because we really want to have a buck, but we can't have one here.
We're probably technically not supposed to have the goats we have now,
Right.
but we give eggs to the next door neighbors, and they just
And they
kind of don't care.
squawk. And goat cheese, so they
Yeah.
don't squawk.
For us in Oklahoma here, it's usually late. I think he'll probably start coming in rut late, like September-ish,
Okay.
maybe August, maybe as early as August. Some people will start having babies kind of mid-December range, but you know others will push them back to spring. So it's a long range. So August,
Oh.
September, October.
All right, now I have a question for you. It is a homesteading question, and it's actually a little bit broader of a spectrum than just simply homesteading. And just because I have a lot of friends here who are law enforcement, and being a law enforcement guy, but also having the perspective of a homesteader, I'm curious as to your opinion on firearms in terms of concealed carry. And the reason why I'm asking that is because it seems like things are getting more and more nutty every time you open up the paper or open up the computer. And I think that I'm just wondering, is it something that, in your opinion, that get it before you can't, or is it don't get it, or what is your opinion on the concealed carry idea?
In my opinion, of course, every state's a little bit different. Oklahoma passed a law about a year or two ago. We're actually an open carry state, so it's not a concealed carry license anymore. It's just a handgun permit, and you have the option of open carry or concealed carry, and I'm all for it. As long as when I'm working, if I walk up to a car and that's the first thing, hey, I've got a permit for a handgun, it almost maybe gives me a little bit of a feeling at ease sometimes because, hey, I know they've had a background check, they've gone through the training. That's not to say that somebody might not slip through and end up, doing something terrible, but I would much rather somebody go through the steps and be certified and licensed and everything. As long as they go through that, I'm all for it. If I'm going to be at a sporting event, we're going to a high school basketball game later, and I'll be off duty, but I'll still more than likely carry concealed just because I feel like it's my job to protect my family and my community. But in my opinion, the more people that are in that event that have had training and carry concealed and they know what they're doing, that's just better for our community in case something bad does happen. Someone come in with an assault rifle and try to, have a mass shooting. The more people on my side, the better, in my opinion.
Well, so now how many acres of your land are you going to cut off for us to buy and live on? That's the next question I have. One more question on the police department kind of side of things, because I got to tell you what, first of all, thank you very, very much for what you do in society. I think you guys get the crap end of the stick so many times. A lot of my friends, they're just good guys. They're just trying to make a living, just trying to do their thing. And you guys seem to be getting demonized left and right. And I just want to say, first of all, publicly, thank you. But also, have you even noticed it? Because you kind of don't live in a metropolitan area. Is it leaking into even the suburban kind of settings?
Yes. We're in a very rural area. Our town that we live closest to is about 5,000 people, and we're about 10 miles from town. But we're in a pretty rural area, even outside of that town. Hey, turn it down a little bit. Go downstairs.
Just so you guys know, the watchers know, we have 7 kids, and the thing that we do is we just lock the door. So they're more responsible parents by actually trying to deal with the problem. We're just going to wait for the melee to finish.
Yeah, well, right now we've only got one here, and he's 3, so I hate to lock him out. But
our kids are totally Lord of the Flies right now.
Back to what we were saying, I definitely believe it's spilling over into rural America. I think social media probably has a lot to do with it as far as villainizing the law enforcement, villainizing police. Because here, we all know there are going to be some bad police officers, but there are also bad attorneys, bad doctors, bad fence builders. There's just going to be those people that slide through the cracks. And the overwhelming majority of law enforcement, I think, are really good people that have a really good heart with the right intentions. But I do think some of that the bigger city stuff that we're seeing is sliding over into rural America just by the difference. So I've been in law enforcement for 10 years, and you can see a difference in a lot of people in their respect for law enforcement. When you walk up to the window, there's 10 years ago, it was just a little bit different. Sometimes there was just that level of respect people had. They had their hands on the steering wheel, their license ready, yes sir, no sir. And they didn't question you as much. Now, it seems like nowadays people want to question what we're doing a lot more. They want to question our authority and why are you stopping me? Why do you, who are you? Why are you here? How do I know you're a real police officer? Which, I understand they're valid questions sometimes, but it just seems like people are a lot more, maybe not disrespectful all the time, but they question your authority a lot more than they used to. And I think social media is probably a lot of that because you see those isolated events on social media.
Well, and you can't escape the camera anymore. Nobody can. It's everywhere.
No.
Yeah. And
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's if you're a good guy, you're going to be found out. If you're a bad guy, you're going to be found out. But let's switch gears back to the homesteading because I don't want my blood pressure's rising. I don't like talking like this. It's verklempt.
Well, I want to talk
Go ahead.
more about the goats. You said,
Okay.
sorry, they're my favorite. I love my
Yeah,
goats.
I love them. They're a lot of fun.
They are a ton of fun.
Yeah, babies.
You have boar goats, correct? Is that what I did?
Boar goats and Kiko. So I have a lot of my does are Kikos or Kiko crosses, and my Billy's a boar. Around here in this area, boar goats are kind of in a lot of places, they're the meat goat standard,
Right.
But Kikos are very hardy and they're very good mothers. Boar goats tend to have more problems with their feet. The hooves have to be trimmed. They get worms more. They do grow faster, but the Kiko does better, in my opinion. A lot of people around here say they do a lot better just turned out on pasture and don't have to babysit them near as much as you do a boar goat.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that about Kikos. I had heard about Kikos, but I didn't know that they were a real hardy goat. That's awesome. Now, why do you not have goats for milk? Question.
I tried the goat milk thing for a little while. I had a really good friend that had some really awesome Nubian dairy goats, and we were basically just kind of trading out. He would give me a couple gallons of milk a week, and I gave him some salsa that we canned and some different things. And I really enjoyed it.
Stop.
This one, she just couldn't. That fresh milk thing, I just think it was up here, yeah. That fresh milk is so much different than what we're used to at the store. There's it's a totally different product. You can't even compare them.
Right.
So
my thing was that I didn't mind having it right because she's really good about getting the milk cooled off real fast. So it didn't taste any different to me than regular cow's milk until I would burp. And then it tasted like Buck's smell.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah. No,
and another thing for us, as far as milking the goats goes, she's got really bad allergies. So the barn is a place where she kind of gets limited on her time down there because she'll just lock up and can't breathe.
Oh, no.
And with my schedule, I don't feel like I can responsibly be able to stick to that schedule of milking like I should. Plus, our kids are super involved in sports, and scheduling wise, it would be hit or miss on when I could milk a doe. And I feel like I would owe more respect to the animal to do it right than to halfway do it and cause her.
Although I got to say, dude, I think I would pay good money to see you milking a goat in your uniform. I got to say. So, all right. Now, in terms of food production, I know you do a garden. I've seen your layout of your garden, and it's nice and big, and you guys have all kinds of different food. You do the canning now. And how much of your food do you think you would say that you actually produce on your own, 5%, 10%, that doesn't come from a store, that you guys actually make it, grow it, produce it, yada, yada?
A number-wise, I don't know. Probably, if you included all the meat and everything, at least I would say 40% probably.
Nicely done.
Now, like last summer, it was different because we didn't get to have our garden because of all the flooding, and so we didn't get to be at home much last summer.
Yeah, we didn't get to can near as much.
No. So, taking that aspect out of it, I think it'd probably be about 40.
Pretty much all of our meat except chicken. And I have raised a few meat chickens. It's just a very time-consuming, laborious process to have them all get killed by predators or the broiler. Those Cornish cross broilers. They're so delicate, in my opinion. They're just not. I just didn't have a lot of luck with them, so I haven't tried meat birds in a couple years. But
Gotcha.
Wow. Okay. Now you are also a hunter, correct?
Yes, sir.
So now here's the thing. We're actually pretty darn new to the whole homesteading thing. We've only been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah, about.
I was in a band, in a rock star thing, like a Christian rock band. We would tour around the country and play all the big festivals and and run around and stupid. And then all of a sudden, God put the whammy on me one day to find out about bees, and I was just like, I wonder if it'd be like to keep bees. So I took a class, and then one thing led to another thing led to another. And we actually raise our own chicken, and we raise a lot of our meat. We do a lot of our own butchering. So that's not an issue for me. But now what would your advice be to somebody like myself who wants to get into hunting but has not yet. The idea of killing for food is not a problem for me. But what would your advice be? What would be the big tips to somebody who's like, yes, I'm ready to engage. I want to do this.
The big thing for me, I think, would be to find somebody that has whatever it is you're going to go hunt. Say if it's deer or turkey or duck, find somebody that's already killed some and try to get some of that meat and cook it a few times yourself. Because I grew up on eating deer meat and venison and fish that we caught, out of the lake and stuff. And I never noticed that it had a gamey taste sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then when we got married and I'm like, oh, hey, babe, here's 5 pounds of ground deer meat, make some spaghetti, and she's like, okay, and she whips it up, and she was like, I don't like this,
No, it was terrible.
That is excellent advice.
But I grew up on it. So, before you go out and kill an animal, I would at least cook, several dishes with that type of meat if you can find somebody that would be willing to let you have some.
Yeah.
And so if you like it or not, because it is different.
Well, and the other thing too, for me too, I want to learn from somebody who actually knows what the heck they're doing. They're not just a weekend warrior out there going and, I like plinking just like everybody else, but I don't want to plink at a deer and have it run off and die in misery somewhere,
Right.
That's an excellent point. I really greatly appreciate that, because a lot of people have been asking us what it tastes like to have rabbit, because we raise rabbits. Mm-hmm. But we've never butchered a rabbit, because the thing is that there's a store, there's like a farm store nearby us, and every time our rabbits have a litter, we get to sell them all. So we raised them all with the intention of having them for meat.
Right.
But we've probably had 40, 50 rabbits and haven't killed a one. They're all sold.
Which is good, because they're so cute.
Yes. We actually had a few rabbits for a little while, and I just wasn't set up right for it at the time, and our cages weren't the best, and I kind of really struggled, and I thought I was going to get into the meat rabbit thing, and I still might someday, but for us it was a failure. I had 2 litters of babies, and I think I raised maybe 2 babies out of it, and I struggled with the rabbits.
Now a video of yours that I watched just the other day, and I promise you, I so have been wanting to do this. I've gone to 2 butchers already, and she's going to another. On making our own lard.
Yeah.
I watched your video, and I've talked to 3. Well, we've talked to 3 different places, and we can't find the fat. But tell me a little bit more about, now, for the viewer who may have not seen this, some of the health benefits of lard, because I learned a lot from your video.
Oh gosh, I kind of looked at that as one of those things of what can I do to provide my own food for my family. And I'd seen a few lard videos, people making lard on the internet, so I thought, well, I'll look it up, and just I can't really go through all the details because I can't spit all that stuff out. But the health benefits, to me, it's a natural substance that God put on this earth in its whole form for us, versus a vegetable oil that's been processed from a GMO soybean or a GMO corn or something that's been totally modified from its original form. And to me, that pork fat may be, it's a different kind of fat, and but in moderation, I think it's probably healthier than going out in that, hydrogenated soybean oil that, is mass produced. I don't know. To me, it was just a whole food that I could produce myself.
Yeah. Well, and besides that, you get cracklins at the end, which I'm excited about. I've never had one, but they look delightful.
Yeah, he tricked me and fed me some of those. I about gagged.
You gagged?
Well, she like when I cook pork chops, my favorite part is that around the edge, it's got a little fat on it.
Crispy.
That's where the juice is at. That's the good stuff.
Come on,
she hates that texture. So the cracklins were like around here we eat salt pork. Do y'all have salt pork? Do you know what? Familiar with that? It's like a thick cut bacon from a jowl of a hog. It's really good, but it's a thicker, kind of similar to bacon, but it's real fatty, and she just can't do the fat. So that's what the cracklins. That's what I would consider those similar to is salt pork.
Yeah, you know what? And the bottom line too is for those watching, You guys talk a lot about on your channel about being frugal living, making do, repurposing things, reusing things, recycling things. And as we're kind of wind up this video for tonight, I'm going to give you the see you later, come visit us here in a minute moment, because it's going to be awesome, and you're going to. I feel the power. I feel the power. But seriously, guys, if you have not seen Arms Family Homestead's channel, you need to go check it out. They're a family who's solid. They're on the path that a lot of us have wanted to be on for a long time, and we're learning as we go.
Yep.
And you guys are actually very, very inspirational to a lot of us, a lot of information that we have greatly appreciated so far.
I've learned a lot.
And we're cheering for you. I mean, when you're driving through that creek to get to your house, I'm like,
smokes.
I want that.
Yeah.
That looks inconvenient and horrible, but I want that.
Well, what scared me was when it was flooded. I'm like, holy cow, how do they get to their house?
He went through the field. He told us.
I know. I saw that.
Because I wouldn't say it's stepmoms either.
No,
I saw
It's
the whole
not
thing.
magical. It's not.
I love it. That's just how I grew up. That's the way I was raised, and a lot of people don't understand it. They just can't handle that. Oh, I don't know how you handle that. Because we used to have a little walk bridge, and we will again eventually. But it's intimidating to some people.
Yeah, well, so for those of you who have not yet subscribed to Arms Family Homestead, go there and do that right now. Trust me, it's going to be worth your time. And if not, I promise you, I'll give you a double your money back guarantee on this video. So if you feel like you were gypped, all the money you paid in today, you can have back twice. So bang, zoom. Brad and Christa.
See you later.
With Arms Family Homestead.
Daniel and DJ here.
Come on now, guys. All right, you guys have an amazing, amazing night. Thank you.
All right, you too.